Hello, my name is Terry Ellis. I am an independent audio reviewer from the YouTube channel and website Pursuit of Perfect System, and Elite Audio have asked me to take a look at a brand new product from a very prestigious and long established Norwegian hi-fi manufacturer, Electrocompaniet. Elite Audio are the UK distributor and the exclusive retailer for the classic line of hi-fi components from Electrocompaniet, and they've asked me to take a look at the brand new ECi80D, which is what I would class as a modern integrated amplifier because it offers more than just being a pre-amplifier and amplifier in the same chassis. As an amplifier, it offers 80 watts per channel into 8 ohms, which is a good amount of power, but as I mentioned, it offers more. It also has a built-in DAC with 5 digital inputs for your digital sources. It has analog inputs too. It has a built-in RIAA phono stage. It has a built-in headphone amplifier and two-way Bluetooth streaming, and that is a very interesting feature which we'll discuss more in a minute. As you can see, the ECi80D is a very fully featured modern integrated amplifier built into a very nice looking, well built, solid and sturdy, slimline and quite modest sized form factor. I think the full feature set really extends the appeal of the ECi80D to a lot of different audiophiles, and I can see some audiophiles thinking that the ECi80D would be a product where you just add speakers if that audiophile is into high quality Bluetooth music streaming, but probably most audiophiles will be looking to add either digital or analog sources to the ECi80D to complete a system, but the Electrocompaniet ECi80D will still be and always be at the core, at the heart of that audiophile's hi-fi system. The ECi80D's feature set might not be exhaustive enough for some, but I think it's going to cover a lot of audiophiles' bases. But what about its competition? Well, that's a really very interesting one because pretty much every hi-fi component manufacturer builds and makes an integrated amplifier with a modern specification, and there is a hell of a lot of competition for the ECi80D as a result. And this competition ranges from costing a few £100 well into 5 figures. And looking at some closer competitors to the ECi80D based on price and products that I've looked at and reviewed could be the Arcam SA30, it could be the Lima Acoustics Pulse 4, maybe it could be the YBA IA200, or even one of the Cyrus 1 range of hi-fi amplifiers. But does the Electrocompaniet ECi80D offer enough to stand out from this very stiff competition? And yes, I think it does on pretty much all accounts. I think the build quality of the ECi80D is at least as good as its main competitors in the price range, and maybe slightly better than some of them in some areas. One big and standout feature for me with the ECi80D is the high quality two-way Bluetooth streaming. So thanks to a high quality Bluetooth codec support built into the ECi80D, including Bluetooth 5 and aptX HD, you can stream music straight from your phone or tablet, straight from your favorite streaming service up to 48 kilohertz and 24 bits, so above CD quality. There is still some compression with Bluetooth music streaming, even if the file sample rates are at CD quality or above. And now this is not something specific to the ECi80D, this is just something with the limitations of Bluetooth bandwidth limits. So that does mean that using the ECi80D via Bluetooth will not sound as good as if you used an additional digital source, a server or a CD player or some kind of streamer and connected to the ECi80D via a digital cable. But I'm sure there'd be quite a few audiophiles who would be surprised by just how good the ECi80D sounds when you feed it music via Bluetooth. Yes, it sounds a little bit softer and a little bit less dynamic, but you still get the character ECi80D sound. So a nice open soundstage with good organization and good space, a nice full and detailed mid-range, and a nice and full bass. But what's really interesting about the Bluetooth aspect that's built into the ECi80D is the fact that it's two-way. So that means that you can connect to it with Bluetooth headphones and send music from the ECi80D to your headphones. And you might think, why would you ever want to do that? Well, just put yourself in the position of an evening listening session that's getting later at night to the point where you would normally have to start turning the volume down and you really don't want to. Well, in that instance, you can then stream your music from your ECi80D via Bluetooth to your Bluetooth headphones, and you can continue listening relaxed in your listening chair, wherever that is in the room, free of any type of cable-based tether. And that means you can continue listening to music from vinyl or continue listening to music from any other source that's connected to the ECi80D. So I just think that is a very, very cool feature. If you are the type of audiophile who's not into Bluetooth-based headphones, then the ECi80D also has you covered because it has a built-in headphone amplifier. And there are both types of connections, 6.35 and 3.5 millimeters, which is really nice to see. Now, initially, you might be a bit surprised to see the headphone connections on the rear of the ECi80D rather than being on the front, which may seem initially an inconvenience until you realize that the ECi80D has a dedicated headphone mode that needs to be either engaged or disengaged. So that means that you can leave headphones permanently plugged into the ECi80D. And I'm pleased to report the headphone amplifier section of the ECi80D sounds pretty good, depending on what headphones you're using. So I used 3 different sets of high quality headphones to test the ECi80D. The Sennheiser HD800S, the Audeze LCD-X, and the Beyerdynamic DT1770 Pro. The Beyerdynamics sounded good. The LCD-X sounded less good. With the LCD-X, the sound was a little too heavy, a little too thick, and a little too congested for me personally, so that's probably not a recommendation or a pairing that I would suggest that you go with. But in stark contrast, the open and spacious and very clear sound of the Sennheiser HD800S worked really well with the tonal characters of the ECi80D coming through, a fullness and a warmth of sound. And the Beyerdynamic 1770 Pro sat somewhere in the middle. Still very enjoyable to listen to, but not quite as good as the Sennheiser. The phono stage I didn't test purely because I am a digital only audiophile. So sadly, I cannot give you any information about how the phono stage sounds, and I apologize for that. Before I talk to you about the last 2 features, which are probably the main features that you're interested in, the built-in DAC and the amplifier of the ECi80D, I just want to run through with you about the connections and the usability. The rear panel of the ECi80D is very nicely laid out and organized. Far left, we have the phono stage analog connections and grounding connections. Next, we have the headphone amplifier connections, as I mentioned, both 6.35 and 3.5, and you can connect to both of these simultaneously. Next to that is a set of analog pre-out connections. Now that means that you can use the Electrocompaniet ECi80D as a DAC and a preamplifier, or just a preamplifier if you choose to, and then feed out via analog connections to another power amplifier, maybe a valve power amplifier or a power amplifier with more power as your system grows. So that's a really nice option and nice flexibility. Next are two analog inputs, which gives the user the flexibility to use external DACs if they choose to, or maybe external CD players or any other analog source. Then next are 5 different digital inputs, 2 coaxial SPDIF inputs and 3 Toslink inputs, and they each can support up to 24-bit and 192 kilohertz music files. Now there is no USB or HDMI digital inputs with the ECi80D, which means if you have streamers or products that use those outputs, then you'll need to use an additional converter between that product and the ECi80D. Next are 2 trigger connections, which means that you can link or daisy chain components together so that they all come on and go off together. Next are the speaker cable terminals, and these feel solid and really nice and high quality. Lastly, we have the input for power, which features a high quality, very clicky rocker switch. The remote control is probably not my favorite part of the ECi80D, purely because I prefer metal-based remote controls as opposed to plastic ones, but I do really like the Electrocompaniet logo that is on the remote control. The ECi80D is very straightforward to use, and it's the same functions whether you're controlling it via the remote control or via the buttons on its front. Press left or press right will cycle through all the different inputs that we've just been discussing. In similar vein, push up or push down will increase or decrease the volume as you would expect. And there are 2 very key buttons on the remote control to pay attention to. One of them is the headphones button, which engages and disengages the headphone mode, obviously very important. And the second button is the Bluetooth button. Now, if you hold that button down for 5 seconds, it will put the ECi80D into Bluetooth search mode. Go into the Bluetooth settings of your phone or your tablet, select the ECi80D, and the 2 devices will connect together. It really is that simple to connect devices via Bluetooth to the ECi80D, just maximizing the convenience of that functionality. Coming back to the 2 main features of the Electrocompaniet ECi80D, its built-in DAC and its amplifier. And I tested the ECi80D with a very high-end pair of speakers, the Think Team Borg speakers, which cost around £22,500. So it was a real test for the ECi80D, and I'm glad to report it did very, very well. Both the DAC and the amplifier really impressed me and really surprised me. Now, I did do some testing between the ECi80D's inbuilt DAC compared to a very high quality external DAC, and to my surprise, I preferred the sound of the ECi80D using its built-in DAC. And that showed to me just how well the ECi80D has been designed to be a total solution product. The sound from the internal DAC was a little rougher around the edges, and the timing wasn't as good as the external DAC, but more key was the balance of sound. The sound was just more balanced. The bass was stronger and more solid and more full and more substantial from the built-in DAC. And I think the 2 elements of the ECi80D, as I've mentioned, have been designed to work together. So that nice, solid and strong full bass married with the ECi80D's sound, which is a nice open and airy sound with good detail, good dynamics, clean sound staging for the most part, and a very solid and tangible vocal and mid-range. Overall, I was very impressed with the sound from the ECi80D using the internal DAC, because it married a nice blend of liveliness with smoothness, with detail, and I was really impressed by just how well the amplifier in the ECi80D was able to drive and control, premium high-end speakers such as the Think Team Borg. And after several hours of playback and listening, the ECi80D was only lightly warm or medium warm to the touch, which could be really useful to you if you're looking to install it into more of an enclosed piece of furniture or hi-fi rack. The Electrocompaniet ECi80D costs £2,899 in black, or you can choose to pay a small premium and have it in white, which then costs £3,099, so a £200 premium, and you can choose to have it with either gold or silver buttons. That does mean that the ECi80D is more expensive than all of the other close competitors which I mentioned to you earlier in the video. And is it worth it? Is the ECi80D worth that extra premium? Well, I think that is only something that you can decide for yourself. I'd like to recommend to you, if you're interested in the ECi80D, that you speak to the team at Elite Audio and arrange to have a COVID-safe in-store demonstration or maybe a home demonstration. And that way you can do all the comparisons that you'd like to see whether you think the ECi80D is worth the premium to you. For me, I think the overall combination of sound quality, build quality, usability, flexibility, and features, with no real weak links for any of the features that the ECi80D offers, makes it very worthy of being on your shortlist or your shopping list if you are looking for a modern integrated hi-fi amplifier around this price point. The ECi80D may be entry level, and it also is the most affordable amplifier from the classic range of products from Electrocompaniet. But don't let that fool you. Because of its build quality, because of its looks, and definitely its sound quality, it still very much is an Electrocompaniet product. And I can see it being more than good enough to make a lot of audiophiles very happy. I hope you found this video useful and helpful. This has not been a full in-depth review of the ECi80D. If you'd like to see full detailed and in-depth reviews, head over to the Pursuit of Perfect System YouTube channel. However, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the Elite Audio YouTube channel. If you are interested in any of the Electrocompaniet classic range of hi-fi components, then definitely speak to the team at Elite Audio, because they'll be able to answer all your questions and obviously arrange demos for you and more. Thanks very much for watching. Again, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. There's going to be a lot more of these videos coming soon, so I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.